I want to bring in Dr. Michelle Bengtson as well, board-certified clinical neuropsychologist.
Nailed it.
Is that right?
You got
I
it.
got it, man. I've got all these words. Funny story, when we first launched this show, I think for the first week, everyone on the show was like from Russia or Pakistan. I had the most complicated name. No one was David Smith.
Yeah.
No one was Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Very complicated. So I thank you for coming on the show, and I'm very thankful I was able to introduce you correctly. This is going to be a very interactive segment today because both you guys deal with a lot of the same issues.
We sure do. And I like that it crosses over, but I really like that you're focusing on mental health because seriously, people don't realize how prevalent it is. By 2020, depression will be our greatest epidemic worldwide.
Isn't that crazy?
Not just in the
that?
United States, it's worldwide, which is greater than heart disease, cancer, and AIDS all put together.
Depression. And so you start to think, is it, and you guys are the professionals, it could be anything from, we talked about spirituality, your faith, it could be your diet. There's certain research, I guess, what we're consuming is could be bringing us down.
Diet and exercise are a big part of it, I'd imagine.
I would imagine. So we're going to talk all things mental health. We're going to get your feedback on that. You also got a book. We'll talk about that. It just came out, Hope Prevails. We'll talk about how to get your hands on that as well. And also to go to this great fundraiser happening this Saturday night. And the best website for that is equest.org, equest.org. Best website for this show, 620 AM, KEXB.com. Go on it, find out more information about this show and other shows on this fine Salem radio network. A few minutes, we will come right back and get into eQuest, and we'll get into how perhaps you can make a difference in somebody's life. We'll do that when we come back.
This is 620 AM KEXB. You're listening to 620 AM KEXB.
3:18 on this Monday. Welcome, everybody. We're having a stimulating talk about social media, and we'll get to that.
This music is stimulating, too. I like that bass.
That's new music here. This is not your music, by the way. This is not your music, right? It's not my music, so we don't know who this is.
We don't know.
But by the way, Luke's Lament has been moved from 3:45 to about the 4:15 hour. We'll put it in the 4 o'clock.
They're shifting me.
We're shifting you around already. We are talking about mental health. We're talking about eQuest. We are talking with Dr. Michelle Bengtson as well about mental illness in this country. We were just talking in the break about kids. And when we get into that, you've seen kids as young as what?
3.
That have depression?
Yeah. When I started in private practice, I hardly ever saw children with depression unless they were going through like major traumatic experience. A parent died or they had cancer. But now, every week, young children come into the office.
And what are they
depression.
telling you that's wrong? What's bothering them?
Well, a large part of it is comparison. In this world, we were talking about tech, and that's part of the problem with the prevalence of technology and social media. Now they can see their peers and what they think their peers are doing and having and compare themselves to that. They see their peers' families, what they have, and the relationships they have or don't have there, and they compare themselves.
And they've gotten to the point where they're not too young to take their own lives, unfortunately.
Oh, they aren't. And you know, now we've got the social media challenges that are teaching our young children how to commit suicide.
Yeah. And Margot, same thing with you guys. You mentioned 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
Yeah, our Host of Heroes program really focuses on their veterans and their families. And many times when they come back from being deployed, they face so many different challenges. I'm a veteran's wife, and I know firsthand that there is a transition. And to be able to get outside with your family, or we have 4 to 2 counselors and therapists who can help and assist those families, and you interact with the horse. It teaches you trust and boundaries and just helps you to talk and open up. And we've heard so many cases where people will try anything from music therapy to all kinds of different therapy, but connecting with that horse can really make a breakthrough for those children who've experienced trauma or different experiences.
Yeah. And I think that, it might take me a few minutes to get used to the horse.
Mm-hmm.
They're so massive. After the tears stop, then I can probably start to pet the horse. But no, it's huge. And when you talk about little kids that maybe have physical disabilities, them to be able to get on a horse and feel like they're doing something that maybe perhaps other kids are doing as well.
And we see that a lot of children with autism or they're paraplegic or things of that nature, to have the ability to get on a horse and have an activity that's theirs. And we have some kids who have started and then they start to compete and they're winning ribbons. And we hear how parents are so excited because they can take their other siblings, to compete in soccer and things like that. But now a child with a disability can get on a horse and have their own activity. So that really has made a difference for inclusion and their social interaction and even their mental health.
It's so helpful for their self-esteem to have something that they can do and be proud of.
Exactly.
And something that's typical that they see other kids doing.
Exactly. And that interaction.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed on your website, equest.org, that you need barn help, which is kind of cool. And I was just thinking, maybe I should make it a part of the curriculum here.
Come on, we'd love to have you, Brian.
Can you shovel? Maybe,
I think he was thinking Luke.
He was looking at me.
But it will be the only thing
and
I
was thinking him.
Bill's character.
Yeah, it does. It builds character. Puts hair on your chest there. No, but you do need volunteers for that, which is cool.
Yes, yeah. We need about 400 a year, and it really makes a difference in the work we do to help our children and our veterans. So thank you. Let's
talk a little bit more about tech addiction. Now, we joke about on this show about playing Fortnite. Ben plays video games. I did when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, it's funny. I joke about this, but I used to whoop my kids in Madden. I mean, I'd make them cry, and I would tease them. And then I stopped playing, and they kept playing, and now they make me cry. But there is an addiction when it comes to playing video games for kids and for being on your phone or just escaping the real world when you think about it, and that's through the internet. And there's some hard facts out there, and I know you know this about how young the average age of someone coming up on pornography. The average is like around 8. That's the average. So that means you look. It's disgusting, is what it is. But what effects does that have on mental health of a young person?
Well, what we're seeing, Brian, is those kids that spend more than about an hour a day on screens end up being developmentally delayed. So what we're talking about is delays in their social development, their fine and gross motor development, their language skills. Mm-hmm. So then they're not even ready to begin school because they've been babysat by the screen time. And the problem is that we as parents have to be appropriate role models. It's easy to plunk them down in front of the screen so that we can make dinner, right? But they're seeing us be on the screen, so we can't just say to get off. We have to model appropriate behavior for them.
You're right. I can't sit there and tell my kids to get off their phones when it's in my hand the entire time.
And think about when we were even younger, we would go outside and play all the time.
Exactly.
The rule was when the
sun goes down.
When the sun goes down, you go home.
The house.
Right.
That's right.
And so the work we do when you're outside interacting and getting your hands dirty and petting the horse.
Where'd you grow up?
Kansas City.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Born and
raised
raised
there. I like it. Nice area.
Thanks.
How about you?
I grew up in Michigan.
Oh, nice and cold up there.
Very cold.
Yeah.
But we were still outside. We were
I
making
was just going to ask you.
well,
It's cold in Kansas City, too, in the wintertime.
It is.
But you still went outside and played.
Absolutely.
Anywhere
Absolutely.
above the Red River is cold. Okay.
You got thin blood.
Yeah, where'd you go? Here?
I grew up in West Texas, in San Angelo and Lubbock and Midland.
I knew where San Angelo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, I mean, we're all, with the exception of little brother Luke here, we played. We didn't have all the electronic gadgets.
I played.
But thank God we didn't have the social media back then.
Right.
Because I don't know if I'd be even crazier than I am now. And I jokingly say that. It's like, I'm glad we didn't have that distraction as a kid.
Well, what we're seeing now is that the more time that kids spend on screens, the more likely they are to become depressed. So,
and how do you treat? I mean, we got eQuest, and they're jumping on horses, and they're petting horses, they're bonding, they're opening up. I love it. But other than that, what else do you suggest a parent do, or people like yourself do, to help their kids treat depression?
Well, there's so many facets of it. We can't ignore the diet aspect, because what we do take into our body does affect how our brain works,
Is it
how
sugar?
our body works. It's sugar. it's processed food. We need to get back to a simpler lifestyle and eat better, truly. But that means the parents have to do it as well. It's physical exercise. Research has shown us that as little as 10 to 15 minutes of physical exercise can improve mood. It doesn't have to be the whole 45 minutes to an hour that our other doctors want us to get. And that's good for the physical body, but even for the emotional body, 10 to 15 minutes. We can all do that. We can be doing that with our kids.
Yeah.
There's also counseling. There's also medication. Both of those help. But I do believe, Brian, we were talking before the show, part of it is getting back to our spiritual roots as well. But a big part of what I spend time doing with my patients is analyzing what thoughts they're having, because a lot of depression comes from believing the wrong thoughts. Our feelings are really just the outward manifestation of the thoughts we believe. So if we want to change our feelings, we got to change our thoughts.
What do you find what are veterans telling you?
Well, it just makes a difference where you can go outside and interact with a horse and have a therapist there. And it's a neutral place where you can have a conversation and open up. And so it's just so important to be willing to ask for that help. And those resources that are out there can sometimes be crowded or hard to navigate. And so having a place like eQuest where you can go and you have people who understand where you're coming from. And then it's with the whole entire family. We work with kids as young as 2 years old and spouses, et cetera. So it really can make a difference to have what I would call a safe place. Also, if you all are out there listening and really want to be supportive and this resonates with you, we have our Boots and Salutes event in July. And so we need volunteers and people to help us with that. So it's just an ongoing area that is important and dear to my heart, and it's just important that we continue
Boots and Salute.
Yeah.
What's that about?
It's a cool event that we have a USO style tribute to military members and veterans held at eQuest there at our horse park, and
where are you guys located, by the way? I hate to interrupt you, but
southern Dallas, there where the Autobahn is, and the new Byron Nelson. Yeah, that whole development. If you're taking 45 heading south going to Houston.
I've been there.
But that night's really cool. We have entertainment, auction, gourmet food. We have a lot of different restaurants coming. And you should get involved. Come out and bring some of your favorite restaurants out to join us.
Tacos and horses.
There you go.
Yeah. And I think you would look really good in a cashmere scarf.
I've got it. And the jacket. Okay, the best website is equest.org. And also, going to Hope Prevails. If someone wants the Hope Prevails book, what's the best way to get their hands on that?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any major retailer, or on my website, drmichelleb.com.
drmichelleb.com. We'll take a quick break, come back. We'll continue our conversation. If you've got anything you want to add to the show, you can reach me on Facebook directly at 620 AM KEXB, or you can hit me up on my private personal page at Brian Glenn TV. Either one, I will get it, and we'll talk to our experts in the studio. We'll be right back.
Experts in business from Wall Street to North Texas. This is 620 AM KEXB.
.33 on this Monday. We are talking on a side note about teaching your kids how to drive. I took driver's ed in school. All three of my kids now, they're self-taught by me. I don't know if that's a good idea. Did you?
I did self-taught or whatever, the online class. My parents
okay, stop right there. Online class. Did you give two rats you-know-what at those questions? Because I think these kids are online doing it as they're on Instagram. I don't think they're literally reading jack squat.
No, I just learned everything from doing it.
Exactly. But I think memorizing things don't apply to the real world. I'll ask you the same thing. Did you teach yourself how to drive?
No, I did it through the school driver's ed.
A bit of patience. How about you?
My mom.
Your mom?
Put me on her lap. And then she said, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, it's tough. I've got to ask for every ounce of, I literally pray for patience.
I think my parents just got it from, hey, go get me a beer.
Oh, God.
Just drive down there.
Well, Doc, I think we're going to need both you guys in the studio for the 4 o'clock hour.
Oh, harmless joke. Harmless joke.
We were talking earlier about how to identify
let's get into that.
Yeah.
How do you? I'm sorry, but I just opened the floor. Both of you guys are professionals. How do you identify?
Well, one of the cool things at EQuest is we have educational opportunities, and you can come and get a certificate on how to identify issues around mental health. So if you're an educator out there, or you work with children, or you work with adults, you can get a certificate with us. And also, just to remind you, we have 4 therapists and 2 counselors that can work with anybody who feels that they have experienced depression. But you've talked about how you also identify it as well, some of the indicators.
Because so many of my patients, when they come into my office, they have no idea that that's what they're dealing with. You know, when we do an assessment and we take stock of what the signs and symptoms are that they're experiencing, most of them are shocked when I tell them, you're dealing with depression. Almost always, there's going to be a change in mood.
Okay.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're down in the dumps and you're crying all the time. It can really vary. For some people, when they're depressed, they experience irritability instead of the down in the dumps.
So you mean like anything can set them off? You're irritated by everything.
It could be. Now, some people just have more of an irritable personality, but we're talking about a change where they weren't previously like that. There's frequently also a change in appetite. For some people who are depressed, they'll eat too much, and other people will eat too little.
Okay, when I get stressed out or whatever we want to label it, I don't eat at all. I go the opposite. But I know people that eat a lot.
It can go in either direction.
Oh my goodness. How about sleeping?
There's almost always a change in sleep patterns too. And for some people, they will want to sleep all the time. And for other people, they'll have insomnia and they can't sleep. So this is where it's so important to recognize it's not a one-size-fits-all. Everybody doesn't present the same way. Geriatrics will present very differently than our children will.
It's interesting. My dad's got 2nd stage Alzheimer's, right? Great personality, very almost jokingly we can talk. He came over for pizza last night, and I can ask him a question, and he'll jokingly be like, I don't know, and he kind of laugh it off. But something was very disturbing the other day. I get a call from my mom, and she's like, can you just come by and see your dad? He's having suicidal thoughts again, doesn't want to live, feel like he's a burden on people. And he goes up and down like this. And that really makes me so sad because he's the most optimistic, positive gentleman. He is the definition of a gentleman. To be a man, like he's a man. And it makes me really sad to think that you go from having that type of like title, like I've given him that title, to wanting to end your life. I'm like, how do you go from being such a role model in this world to not wanting to be around? And so as people get older, how do you deal with that?
Well, and that's so difficult for him, Brian, because he's not remembering everything.
He's not.
And what does he have to live for if he's not even sure that he can remember what happened 5 minutes ago, much less what happened 20 years ago? And so I think that's part of what contributes to depression in our elderly is as they are approaching the natural end of life, they have less and less to look forward to.
Wow.
But for most adults who aren't dealing with something as significant as dementia, they can get out and do things for other people. If they will just get out and volunteer a couple hours a week, like with EQuest, that really helps morale.
Yeah. You know what? That's a great point. I'd wheel his butt out there, let him look at some horses.
We would
talk
love
to
to
some
have
kids.
Them. Yeah, we have a lot of volunteers who are retired.
Because I think that's, because he's got a great personality, and you can ask him.
And he ain't scared of horses like his son.
He ain't scared of horses.
We'd love to have you. You brought up another good point about a sense of purpose and empowerment. You get on a 1,200-pound animal, and you are taught how to direct it and give it direction and move and be able to even trot or canter at some points, or even how to tack and get the saddle on. That's empowering, and that gives a sense of purpose and
a
direction.
sense of control.
Yes,
part of what feeds to depression is when we feel a lack of control.
Yeah.
And so if you can do things that help regain that goes a long way towards improving your mood.
Just give them a task.
And even people who have ADHD or struggle with other cognitive disabilities, a sequence that you have to follow in order to pay attention to the horse, because the horse will react if you don't pay attention. And then also you're building a sense of trust. A lot of times when people are depressed, they lose their sense of trust and understanding of boundaries and trust with other people. And that horse can remind you and give you those leadership skills as well.
And so often depression comes because we spend too much time looking in the rearview mirror instead of looking forward. And so doing something like volunteering and having a task such as at EQuest, it gives us that forward-looking perspective. And even with our elderly, there are things that they can look forward to. There are activities they can still do. Your dad, even in his state, can still get out there and, be barn help.
Yeah, he got a dog. They got him a little Boston Terrier or something like that. I don't know. And it's good. It's therapeutic for him because he plays ball with the dog. But I think this keeps him active.
Well, and it gives them something to love.
Yeah,
and
it
research
does.
has shown us that, petting an animal lowers our blood pressure.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if you're out there petting this
A horse.
huge horse?
No,
And brushing it. Yeah.
I want it. You know what we'd love to do? I wonder if we can do this. I want to do this show
Out on.
live
Yes,
from the
come on out.
EQuest, the barn. You can call it a barn, right? It's where you keep
Yeah,
the horse.
why
A
not?
barn,
Why not?
right?
But you should definitely come out boots and salutes. I think that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
And get the community out.
That would be fun. We should go out there and just shoot some. Hey, maybe this might be a candidate for our new video series that we're launching here on Salem.
The
Made in
DFW.
I mean, they're
And we got to get our friend out here too. Would you join us?
I would.
Of course,
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
She's officially our in-house therapist at this point. I just crowned her.
You're
going to
keep me busy.
Are you trying to say all of us need therapy?
Yeah, we do.
Most of us do.
Yeah, I think it's healthy, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. That a lot of times people have the stigma around
Yes.
it, and we need to destigmatize that it's okay to ask for help. Here in Texas and the United States, we are really bad about going and asking for help in mental health and seeking those resources. So it's just really important.
And in reality, our brain is our biggest organ. And so it's no different seeking help for a mental health issue than it is for heart disease or diabetes or cancer.
True. You're just over there smiling.
No.
What are you thinking about? You've
Yeah,
been
what are you
kind of
thinking about
quiet.
that, youngster?
Yeah, it's my ADHD. It really is. I promise
Well, you know what?
We
Hey,
can
I will
help
say
you.
this,
We
though.
can help you with that.
Yeah, but you know what's fun? I feel like my ADHD has helped me in life juggle a lot of different things at one time. Because some people I know that are very narrow, they can only do one thing at a time. Because anything else going on, it just kind of makes them a little loopy.
But you have used that to your benefit.
Absolutely.
A lot of brilliant
Absolutely.
people have disabilities.
But it's hard for me to sleep.
Yeah,
It's hard
me
for
too.
it to turn off. The little hamster. Once that hamster gets a little flicker of light in the morning, a little computer screen comes up, boom, it's on.
The really smart people did not do well on the SATs, as me and Brian have figured out.
Yeah, we figured out.
Oh,
that,
I agree with you. I did horrible on the SATs.
Oh, I think I signing my name. I got
probably
what,
got-
300 for signing my name.
Yeah.
And I probably added another 50 points somewhere. So we're good.
Yeah.
And, we were talking about testing over the last couple of weeks about all the scandal going on with these people with their kids and stuff. But well, I think it's wonderful what you both guys are doing. equest.org is a website. Get involved. It all happens. You got a big gala, Arabian Nights
Saturday
gala.
night.
This Saturday
yeah,
night.
very
It's
excited.
at
If you
the
want to buy 6,500, yes.
Okay, event. Where's the 6,500 event space?
Right there next to Tesla, across the street from Love Field,
I know
near
exactly
on
where it's
Cedar
at.
Springs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know
So
exactly where it's at.
we're
You
excited.
got
about that.
DJ,
Yeah, Lucy.
Off
You-
the Murray Dance Company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're excited about that. We had DJ Lucy Robo and Taylor Pace Orchestra, Arthur Murray Dance Company.
I like that. You got a dessert bar, which I'm all about that. Silent auction.
And we got to give credit to Reka Vaca, who's doing
Yes.
our Wish Granter signature drink. They were really nice to donate.
I'm on.
the
Hey, we'll give them a
alcohol.
shout out. Open bar is good for me.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not a drinker, but yeah, I know people that
You're
like to have
not
a
a
couple
drinker.
drinks. I'm not a drinker.
You always talk about, oh man,
If
if it
you
has an
came in
open
here-
bar.
I know. We always. Hey Ben, what's my favorite beer?
Free.
And what?
Oh,
Cold.
I got to tell you guys
Free and
something.
cold,
We're
doesn't-
looking for a beer sponsor, and I got to tell you, we have a horse that doesn't sweat, and we give him beer. So you could actually donate beer to Ecos.
Okay.
Yes, you have heard it
I wanna
live,
connect you
ladies
to
and
the guy,
gentlemen.
Tups Brewery in
Please.
McKinney.
Oh, we love
Good
to
friend
talk
of
to
mine,
him.
Tups Brewery
And,
in McKinney.
and it's important because if the horse doesn't sweat, he doesn't,
So what is beer? I don't understand. So what does beer do?
It's a technical piece. Sorry, I don't know all
That's
the
okay,
technical.
but there's something in beer that
Yes,
allows them to
yes,
sweat.
yes.
And so they need a little bit of beer.
Yes, so you could be
How much
helping our
beer can a horse
horses.
drink?
And I really cannot go any further without recognizing our co-chairs of this big event that's
Yep.
happening, Annie and Teal Griffith and our honorary chair, Cindy Thomas and Bert Eden. So I just
give them all a shout out.
Yeah, give a little shout out.
You got a horse that won't sweat, and that horse might drink a whole lot of beer. It sounds like you're going to be breaking a lot of Guinness Book of World Records on Saturday night.
Yeah. So this is a great opportunity for us to share our story and the work we do. So I really appreciate everything you're doing, Brian.
Absolutely. And we'll connect, and we'll somehow we'll arrange for a little broadcast out there. I think it'd be cool. I with Channel 8 days, I did a couple hits out there.
300 acres there in the Trinity Forest. It's gorgeous.
Now that you reminded me where it's at, I remember where. Of course, it was always like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I drove out there. It was like pitched. I actually really remember vividly the morning I got there. It was, you couldn't see anything. It was just super dark because it is in the middle of the woods. All right, and then if you want the book, Hope Prevails, you can go to Amazon, and we'll talk. We'll hang around a little bit. We'll talk about some tech things as well. All right, we'll take a break. Come back. We got Luke Slamette coming on. You might definitely want to help him out after his rant coming up at 4:15. I can imagine that's going to be something else. We'll do all of that. Plus, we have a couple of things. Hilton Hotels are doing something very special with their soap. I'll pause for dramatic effect. And also, here's the 13 things bartenders say we're not going to tell you, but you probably should know this. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
.620 AM, KEXB, experts in business in North Texas. 620 AM, KEXB.
All right, welcome back. 350. Once again, go to equest.org, equest.org. Get more information about their Arabian Nights coming up this Saturday night.
Yeah.
Be nice to go to that.
Yeah.
I'll do the old March Madness thing coming up at Texas Live, because once that kicks off, I'm doing that for a while. Then when baseball starts, so my weekends are kind of tied up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to bring back in our expert, Dr. Michelle Bengtson. She is a board-certified clinical neuropsychologist.
Awesome.
I know. Said it real slow. We are talking about mental health, and we're talking about depression, anxiety. Here's what's interesting. We had a girl on my show, and I don't want to name names, but she suffered from anxiety, and I had no idea. I like, what is anxiety? She's like, are you serious? I mean, I have no idea what anxiety feels like. And then she tried to describe it to me. How big of a problem is anxiety?
Well, anxiety is considered the common cold of mental illness, so it's even more prevalent than depression, but frequently they go hand in hand. That's why my next book is Breaking Anxiety Script, because my readers said, that's great that you wrote a book on depression, but now when are you going to write the book on anxiety? So we did, because almost everybody at some point in their life deals with worry, fear, or anxiety.
Yeah, I would say so. If you have responsibilities,
if you have children, you've worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this though. Doctor. I literally, when my son was born, my first one, I remember bringing him home and going, how in the living hell am I going to raise? I'm responsible for this human being for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It scared me that I was responsible for somebody. Is that my level of anxiety?
Well, to some degree, but a little bit of anxiety can serve you well because it makes you more vigilant. I told my kids a little bit of anxiety makes you prepare for that exam.
Yeah.
Right. But
That's
it's
true.
when it becomes all encompassing and you can't think of other things. And, now parenting kids in the society that we live in today, I think some degree of anxiety comes with that. But again, anxiety comes back to our thoughts. What are we believing? Who are we believing in? Who are we giving control and power to?
And we haven't talked about this a lot on the show so far, but faith, your spirituality. And I'm not talking, and I'm going to go ahead and get on my soapbox here. I'm not talking about the birds and the rainbows and all the other stuff that we don't name. We name all the universe, but having a relationship with God, I think, is very important. That's
why I wrote Hope Prevails. It's Hope Prevails, Insights from a Doctor's Personal Journey Through Depression, because I thought I was immune, Brian. I thought I was the doctor. I had all
smart.
the answers.
Yeah, right.
So when it hit, I did all the things that I suggested to my patients that they do. Diet, exercise, sleeping well, therapy, medication, and they all helped. They did. They all helped. But it was only until I really focused on my relationship with God and what he said to be true about me that the breakthrough really came. And that changed everything that I do in my private practice.
Yeah.
Because you can't leave out that component or it will come back.
We have a family member that has got some type of illness, and they're literally dying for the most part. And the spouse is terrified and says, I just don't know what I'm going to do when that person passes away, and just says, it's the end, it's goodbye, and it's just, but they're both atheists. So they both have absolutely zero faith and zero afterlife. And that would make and we had a conversation with them and said, if you just flip the switch here and you become spiritual, and let's just say you've just discovered God and find Jesus and really get an intimate relationship, this will not be a sad day when they pass. It could be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's everything.
Just recently, I was going through treatment for cancer, and not a lot of people know that. But people who do know will say, how can you still have the joy? How can you still have hope? Well, it's because my hope isn't in me. It's not in doctors.
Yeah,
it's in God.
Exactly. It's not on any human aspect on this
not.
in our earth. And I don't live for this world. I live for his world.
That's why I don't like self-help books.
Really?
Because they all start with, you got to look deep within yourself. There's nothing in there,
Mm-hmm.
It's all you can't find peace from within.
Yeah. I've woken up here of lately and just pretty much rethought my entire life. Not on a negative thing, but like, what am I doing to make an impact? What legacy am I going to, like today, I just literally got on Facebook today, and there was a guy that I have friends with died of cancer. I had no idea he had cancer, and he just got married, the whole bit, and big family down in the Houston area. And I thought, wow, this is a big shock. And I thought to myself, well, if I died today, what are people going to say at my funeral? What's the legacy that I'm going to leave? What are they going to say about my personality, about who I was? Not what I did. This is all crap right here. This is meaningless. What difference did I make in somebody's life? That's really what I think a lot of us should focus on.
My focus every day is to get on and show people where a source of hope is. And so if I have done that, I've done what I was created
And I think your
to do.
platform is this show, and you're more than welcome. I'm telling you right now, you have my open invitation. This is your platform. Your book is your platform. Your website's your platform. You talking to people is your platform. You never know who you might meet today on the radio and walking out of the studio that they're looking for one last reason to live.
Yeah.
One last excuse not to take that handful of pills tonight. You never know. You never know. And that's why I think the church, in its role in our society, is to be that outlet for a lot of people. And I shared the story before the show. When we were on the West Coast, one church did not do what I think a church is there to do, and that is to reach out to people. Someone can show up, but if you don't reach out and welcome them, then they haven't done their job. And how do we know that some kid just wasn't on the edge of suicide and just wants, and if it, I don't know,
Well, and truly, we are to be the hands and feet of Jesus.
That's it. All right. So I want you to stick around if you can, because we got some things that I want to kind of get you intermixed in. We'll check on Wall Street. We haven't checked on Wall Street at all. We'll take a look at what Hilton is doing in terms of there's National Hand Washing Day. I don't know. It's
the only day you're supposed to wash your hands.
Yes, I am not washing my hands until this day in October. Some days I feel like I do that. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stick around.